My name is Lisa Berberet, and I'm known as the Pumpkin Lady, and to celebrate my 10th year as a professional carver, we've created a series of YouTube how-to videos on the basics of pumpkin carving. Now in the first video, we talked about how to pick out the perfect pumpkin, and once you have that pumpkin picked, it brings us to part 2, degooing the pumpkin. Now look, every year I get emails from parents who go, ew, I know I'm supposed to do the whole pumpkin carving thing with my kid, but I don't want to touch the stuff and it's gross and it makes a mess and I don't want to do it. And my advice to you is get over it. Okay, look, I know it makes a mess, but it's okay. Put the kids in old clothes. And okay, I know I'm here in my home, but sit them outside on the back porch. They're out in the grass and let them do the degooing for you. Now, if you are going to be inside, you could do it at the table as I am here, but honestly, this just makes it easier for the camera to see. If it was me doing this inside my home, I'd go get a 99-cent tablecloth, put it on the floor, set the kids on it, and let them degoo those pumpkins. Now, if you're really, really squeamish, maybe you don't have kids and you still have to get this done, you could do what a lot of people do. Grab the kid from down the street, pay him $10 to do it for you. Now, of course, this isn't the kid from down the street. This is the kid that got me into this in the first place. This is my son, Tyler Berberet. Now, he said, Mom, I want to help you on those YouTube videos. So, I have the perfect job for him. He's going to be the one to degoo my pumpkins. And he does such a great job because after 10 years, he's had a lot of experience. Now, before we get started, here's a note that you need to know about pumpkin carving in general, but this especially applies to, opening up the pumpkin and taking the top or the bottom off. Do you see this knife? This needs to go away. We tell our kids not to play with knives, and then at Halloween we give them a huge one and say, Johnny, go in the backyard and carve your pumpkin. This is a no. This doesn't even need to be on the table. Keep them in the drawer away from the kids where the knife is safe and your fingers are as well. So a lot of carving kits at the store come with this. This is a great little lid cutter saw. You notice I can run it across my hands and my fingers are still intact. That's very important. So rule number 1 with all pumpkin carving, put away the knife, use a lid cutter saw so that we can all have a safe and happy Halloween. Now, once we have our little tools in place, you're going to want to cut either the top or the bottom off your pumpkin. Now, if you're going to carve the top off of your pumpkin, here's an easy thing to do. Draw a little design, as I already have on this pumpkin. I'll try to darken it a little bit so you can see it better. And if you do it in a little bit of an odd shape, A, it's prettier. You can do a flower or a star shape, make a few petals, so it's a little bit decorative. But it's also a lot easier when you want to go put that lid back onto the pumpkin to be able to fit it and not stand there for a half an hour trying to find the right way to put it on your pumpkin. So if you use the lid carving saw, I kind of get it started by poking it in, and then go to the end of it, and you want to carve it at an angle. You don't ever want to just put it straight into the pumpkin. Kind of put it as an angle, because what happens is that lid actually rests on that angle that you cut on the inside. If you cut it directly straight into the pumpkin, that lid, when you take it off and put it back on, it's going to fall into the center of the pumpkin. It is never going to stay on. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. As you can see, although that lid cutter saw, it didn't cut my fingers, it is going very easily through the pumpkin, and I only have a couple more turns. It's okay if you're hitting a corner to take the pumpkin carving saw out and then just insert it back in. You could do a curvier pattern so you didn't have to do that part, but it's kind of whatever you like. You can make the top of the pumpkin just as decorative as the carved out pattern on the side. Now, this is kind of a typical way. A lot of people do carve out the tops of their pumpkins to remove the goo. However, on the next pumpkin, we're going to carve out the bottom of the pumpkin just because it's easier to set the candle on the ground and then set the pumpkin on top of it when you want to light it later on. As you can see, this one has already come apart. We have our lovely star-shaped pumpkin top and all of the really wicked, horrible stuff inside that my helper is going to assist me with today. Now, make sure that you have your bowl at the ready for all of the lovely pumpkin goo. This is a great time to save the seeds. Put them in the oven for about 10 minutes. I think it's around 350. You can salt them first. Some people like to put a little Old Bay on them. So, if you see all this lovely goo on the inside, this is a great time to take that lid cutter saw. And if you want to make your job a little bit easier, you can go ahead and carve away right along those edges some of those lovely strings that we are all so fond of, just to help make it a little easier to degoo. Now before I get started on my pumpkin, let's talk about the tools you want to get rid of the stuff on the inside. Now of course, before you use anything, the best thing to do is reach your hand inside the pumpkin and take out whatever nastiness you find, and it's a great time to put it in a bowl. If we were outside, yeah. It's an even better time to throw it at your brother or the nasty kid next door or those little yippy dogs that don't stop barking. Great time to save some of that pumpkin goo. However, since we're inside the house, we're just going to put it in a bowl today. And you can see it's nice and sticky, and this is why you get the kids to do it. Come on, he's 13. They love being a mess. Now, when he's done getting as much as he can out with, yes, dare I say it, bare hands. For those that are squeamish, you could use the gloves, but he's a real man. He can use his bare hands to do this with today. You can use a couple different tools to get the goo out from the inside of the pumpkin, because it's kind of hard sometimes to scrape some of these strings away from the inside. Now, some people will tell you, go use ice cream scoops. No, I don't recommend that, unless you have one of those huge 100-pound giant pumpkins. I mean, this is great. It has a serrated edge, so it makes it easier to remove the strings from the inside. But if you notice, look how long the handle of this is compared to my pumpkin. When you go to put this inside, this side will scrape the walls of the pumpkin, and this end's going to stick in the other side, and you're never going to get it out, and it's just a real pain to do. Forget the ice cream scoops. Instead, go to the store and those little pumpkin carving kits that have the pumpkin carving saws in them. Because remember, we don't use knives anymore. Those are what you want. There's a reason why those handles are so short. Now I know for you big guys, some of you complain because of the little tiny handles, but they're doing it as a favor to you. When you put your hand inside and are scraping all of those seeds out, this other end isn't going to stick into the other side of the pumpkin. It's much easier. And if you notice, some of them, they even have a little ridge here or an indentation. That's the perfect time to put your thumb right into that spot, because it's going to give you all the leverage you need to scoop out the inside of your pumpkin. Now I think, Tyler, you have about as much as you're going to get by hand, so I'm going to let you use this one. Now some little scoops have a smooth edge, others have serrated. I definitely like serrated better because some pumpkins are stringier, and it does a kind of a nice job of, you know, removing those strings from the inside of the pumpkin. But either way, it'll still work. Just look for the smaller scoop. Now, like I said, on my pumpkin, I'm going to do mine from the bottom of it. This way, if I go to light a candle, I can sit it right on the ground and then simply put my pumpkin over top of it, making it a lot easier to light the pumpkin later. Now, just a note, if you cut the bottom out of the pumpkin in order to remove all those gooey seeds from inside, don't set it on your nice, beautiful table later, because you don't want a pumpkin that could be leaking pumpkin goo or little juices out onto your gorgeous antique armoire. Not good for this time of season. Remember, we want a happy Halloween. So it's great if you're going to put your pumpkin out onto the porch. That's the perfect time if you're going to want to remove the bottom. Otherwise, if it's going to sit on a table inside the house, remove the top of the pumpkin. Now sometimes it gets a little stuck. You can simply insert your saw and use it to help you bring that bottom part right out. As you can see, I have all of these lovely seeds. Now, like I said, this is a good time if you want to save those seeds and cook them for later. However, don't necessarily get rid of all the goo from the inside. Now, we actually have a cat. His name is Spinner. He's been around with us since the beginning as well. One of the reasons why we're carving up here on the table today is so that Spinner can't get to the pumpkins, because we'll turn around and half the cat will be disappeared inside the pumpkin. Some animals absolutely love pumpkin. And I don't mean the seeds. Now you might have some birds at home or some rats or pet hamsters that might like it, but a lot cats and dogs, they love pumpkin goo. So this time of year we will take and scoop out the pumpkin goo inside, put it in a giant bowl, and give it to Spinner, who just happens to be sitting at my feet down on the floor waiting for his bowl of pumpkin goo. And the little parts that you cut out of your pumpkin, they make great healthy treats for your pets as well. Give them to your hamsters or pet rats. They're wonderful and healthy, and it'll keep them busy while you continue to carve away. Now, just one more note, when you're going to de-goo this pumpkin, and I am so fortunate to say I have a really nasty gooey one with me. really great idea to keep a nice damp cloth with you. So if you need to wipe yourself off from time to time, you can. If you're going to be carving your pumpkin, hopefully very soon, you're going to want to shave this down from the inside as thin as you can. If you have a really intricate design, you want to thin that wall down to about 1 inch. If you have a really simple design, you can go a lot thinner than that so that the carved areas won't break when you're all, you have the design completed. The reason why I say this is it just makes it easier. Pumpkin carving saws are about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in length, so you want to get down to underneath that so that your design, when you're finished carving it, goes all the way through the pumpkin and doesn't get it stuck and break the design when it's time to remove the pieces. Now Tyler is doing pretty well there. We're going to continue scooping and get these all cleaned up and prepared for our next set of videos, which will be applying the pattern to your pumpkin. And I have a couple tips and tricks to make that easier for you as well. Now, if you would like some more information or have any more questions for me that you might like to see in a YouTube video, please email me, lisa@pumpkinlady.com, or just go to pumpkinlady.com, our website, and you can reach me from there. Until then, we're going to keep scooping away here, and we will see you soon. I'm Lisa Berberat, the Pumpkin Lady. Happy carving.